Okay, this ended up being a trade day for me, but we caught two break-even trades. Um, there was one trade I was luckily able to, I guess you could say, miss the entry, and it ended up being an L, so I'm glad I missed the entry. I'll go over all three setups that my model presented today. It's worth noting that this third and final setup that ended up hitting me break even would have looks like it's coming very close to my 1-to-1 RR. My TP is very close to this area. It looks like we would have, we'll see in the next couple minutes here, hopefully, hit my TP had I entered with a limit order. But I entered with a market order a little bit higher than the limit fill would have been, and we got break even because of that. It is what it is. Um, but let's go over the day. I'm very happy with the way I traded today. I feel like I'm trading very well this week, not just because of the results, which with the trade I took yesterday, it was a nice winning day, but I just feel as if I'm doing my best to enter when my model presents itself, and I'm being rewarded for that in ways of making money, but also just protecting my capital. Um, so let's get into it. Coming into the day, I was looking at the daily time frame. We're obviously inside this new week opening gap still. And that's what the initial rejection was from when we opened. Um, and you can see we were going to open. We were trading up here to start, but prior to market open, we were gonna open potentially a new 4 hour here, which I thought, okay, cool, we could open that and then bounce from there. Ended up filling this gap entirely, so did not have a fair value gap that formed when the 4 hour candle closed here. And so then my next target was like, okay, I'm looking at this crazy downwards candle. We had um, an hourly fair value get inverted. Yes, I know we have this hourly here that we're now bouncing from. And that was kind of the last hope for bulls because I like these equal lows underneath here. There was not an SMT here. The equal lows were up on ES and NQ. There was an unfilled hourly to come for. So I was starting to like shorts, and um, only problem was really that we just did not, there wasn't any 5 minute to fair value gap to have a continuation off of, and the 15 minutes were obviously like, I'll show them. So let's see, where's the, okay, this would have been the first trade. Um, let me see. So we swept liquidity, came into um, perhaps a 15 minute or just traded back into the hourly here. But we swept liquidity. And wait, we might have actually, let me, yeah, we did. So we came into this 15-minute fair value gap. Um, and perhaps even not just this one. Okay. Came into the 15-minute fair value gap. Um, at this point, we swept liquidity. Hadn't traded low enough to really want shorts yet. So I was like, okay, this could just be a Judas swing, sweep liquidity, enter into a 15-minute unfilled, back into the hourly fair value gap. Um, and so we had a 5 minute fair value gap as our target here. Now, granted, for a 1-to-1, it was a little, we had our TP a little bit higher than the 5 minute, but essentially the 5 minute for a target, 5 minute unfilled, and then um, there was a 1 minute, I believe it was just a 1 minute, yeah, nice reaction off of this 15-minute unfilled level, like a really bullish candle. So I was like, okay, I like that. Um, entered this with a market order as well, but essentially like very close to where the limit would have been. So that's that. And we got an immediate pump, and it was looking really good with this candle here. You can see the wick it left. Um, and because we were so close to my TP, I said, okay, I'll break even. And obviously glad I broke even. But again, this was a sweep of liquidity using a 15-minute fair value gap to pump from. Um, we inversed a 1 minute, but very sharply. right? A lot of buy pressure here. And then we had a 5 minute unfilled as our TP, because you're assuming that, okay, even if we are going to go lower here, we'll probably fill the 5 minute first at least. We didn't end up doing that, but I was able to break even, so that's good. Technically, you could argue there's no break even on the way to this trade, and you'd be right. But because we came so close to my TP, I said, okay, you know what? That's good enough for me. Break even. All right, there's some what's the word? What's the word I'm looking for? There's some, I don't know, I can't think of the word. It starts with a D, but discretion. There's some discretion I'm going to take when it comes to live trading that maybe I wouldn't take when I'm back testing. Today, the discretion ended up helping me. Maybe some days it ends up wrecking me. But yeah, it helped me today. So that was the first trade. Just do that. Okay. The second trade was this sucker right here. I did not take this trade. However, it does fit my model. Obviously glad I didn't take the trade because it did not play out in our favor. But basically, like I said, once we didn't leave a new 4-hour fair value gap to bounce from, and because we had these equal lows here and an unfilled 1 hour, and we inverse this 1 hour, I didn't really think this little tiny one was going to hold. It ends up holding. Tapped into a 15-minute fair value gap, so we had a 15-minute continuation trade. Sweeping some liquidity. This would have been a 2-minute inversion, and it's a nice inversion. The one thing that kept me out of this trade when I was looking at it was the fact that I thought to myself, if we were to come this low and not take these lows right here before I get my limit fill, then most likely if we end up coming back up to my limit to get an entry, I didn't think that if I was in this trade, I didn't think I'd get stopped out so fast. I just thought we would end up consolidating a little bit, and I didn't like that. So that's kind of what kept me out of it. Use some discretion there as well, I guess you could say. Full transparency, I was a little bit late to the setup, but I would have still entered. Like I could have entered for a 1-to-1 still. I was ready if price came back down, potentially enter it, but that's that trade. So target was a 1-to-1, but obviously these equal lows were, nice on the 1 minute or the 2 minute, but that's that. And then the third and final trade that ended up actually hitting our TP without us is this one right here. And trading is a very, it has very fine margins, and that's why this trade did not play out today. So, this is all about switching your bias. I mean, once we hit the hourly and I started to see us, okay, now this short didn't play out here, and then we inverse this 15-minute. And then originally I was like, okay, I'm done for the day. Like, I'm not going to long this because, we're going to reject off the 15-minute, and I don't want that. Even if we inverse this first 15-minute, this one's still here. But then I saw that we didn't tap into this 15-minute yet. We left equal highs. So I was like, oh, okay, I like that. Because now we inverse this 15-minute, reacting off an hourly fair value gap, haven't tapped the 15-minute unfilled above us to sell off from yet. So we probably should continue there. Left nice equal highs, and then we had a 5-minute inversion off of a 5-minute fair value gap holding. So this is really a textbook setup. My break even was the 15-minute. Now, if you look at this entry, this would have been with a limit fill. I would not have broke even. It would have been very close, but I would not have broke even. I would not have been hit break even, and we would have ended up hitting my target. However, this was more my entry with the market order on my fundeds, or on my combines. I entered with a market instead of a limit, and there you go. That's fine margin. I don't know what else to say, but I'm not upset with the break even. I'm not upset with entering with a market order, because there's plenty of times when I would have entered with a limit and not been filled. We just pumped, right? And then there's times when, of course, you enter with a market order and your break even's just a little bit too tight, and things like this happen. It is what it is, you know. It's you got to pick your poison essentially. So, uh, ended up getting stop break even on this trade as well. So two break even trades today. Avoided that one loss that you saw, uh, based off of a little bit of discretion and also based off of the fact that I was a little bit late to entering even if I wanted to. So that is that was the trading day for me. We'll see what Friday brings. We did get a really nice setup today. It was this setup here, so I can't complain. Um, it's just the way it goes sometimes, you know. It's the way it goes sometimes with break evens, but you got to protect your capital. Could have just as easily hit this 15-minute and just rejected from there, right? So um, that's that. But